it. We'll post it on YouTube, but for now, we'll just go over some of our slides, very similar to last year for those of you guys returning. And then if you do have any questions, just throw them in the chat and I'll get to them as long as I see them. So let's see. I think we still have a few people coming in.
Just speak to me. Come over here and talk to me. Mind your bike.
All right, so those who just jumped on, please put your name in the chat so we have record of you guys being here, and we'll get started. All right, so my name's Gabe Ricos. I'm the league president for Little League, and most of you guys know Katie from years past. Katie's managed the Doghouse, and she'll be doing so again this year with the help from Shiji Joseph. Shiji's also on. He's new this year, so please don't give him a hard time as he's learning. So just starting from the top, why work at the Doghouse? So this is a first job for many of you. And I'm sorry, if you don't mind putting yourself on mute, getting a lot of background noise. So this will be a first job for many of you. You know, it starts with good work practices, learning what it means to be, you know, to have a job, you know, showing up to work on time, responsibility, all those good things. You know, and this is something that, you know, as puts you ahead of some of your peers. I mean, this is a very early opportunity to have a real job. You know, I think people think that it's just the Hopkinton Little League concession stand, but you know, we as a league, we have to go through all of the same permitting through the town. We have to go to have board of health inspections, just like any other business that serves food, whether, you know, Muffin House or any of the restaurants in town. So it is a, you know, a licensed food establishment. So you guys are all you know, working in that, something that you can put on a resume for the future. So resume building, and then if you references, right? So if you ever get into a point where you need a reference, and for a future job, you have you know, Katie, myself, Shiji, you know, you reach out and say, hey, would you mind being a reference for me for a job I have? And you know, we'd be happy to do that. So learning good work habits, learning what it means to have a job, responsibility, and then just it's part of the overall Little League experience. So we've you know, most of you have played in the program. Most of you played in Little League, and you all remember, you know, going up to the Doghouse after your games and getting a ice cream or a slushie or a hot dog. And we want to continue to provide that experience to all the players. So it's a good way for everybody, all of you, you know, to be able to give back to the same and provide the same experience that you all had. All right, so expectations. So be on time. If you have a assigned work shift, you know, you have a time that your work shift starts. That's the time your shift starts, not the time that you show up. So on time is 5 minutes early. You're there, you're prepared, and when your shift starts, you're ready to work. So even you know, for this training, you know, training started at 4. We probably had more than half of you show up 5 minutes after the training started, and it's making things really difficult for me as I'm trying to let everybody in and mute people as they hop in. So be on time. So if you aren't on time, you're inconveniencing someone else, whether it's a volunteer or another worker that, you know, one of your friends who may have somewhere to go. So, you know, that is your responsibility to make sure that you show up for your shift ready to go. Communicate in advance of any changes. We understand that changes happen. Things don't always line up the way you expect them. And if you have a scheduled work shift that all of a sudden you can't make, try to communicate that out as far in advance as you can. Let Katie know. You know, email, text. That way she can find somebody to fill a shift for you. And even better, if you have a friend who's a Doghouse worker and you say, hey, I know, Katie, I can't make my shift tomorrow, but so and so can work for me. That's great. That's certainly something that we would appreciate. Everybody do, but just try to be aware that when you do have changes, try not to make them last minute. Keep the doghouse clean and neat at all times. So, again, like I said, we do have to go through and get a permit from the Board of Health in town. We have certain things we need to do to maintain cleanliness in the doghouse. So just do your part. Don't leave a mess. If you make a mess, clean it up. Just keep things clean as your work shift is going along. And then if you have downtime, that you're not being paid to sit on your phone or socialize. You're still working. So try to take the opportunity to if you have a slow afternoon and sweep the floor or wash some of the dishes, clean the counters or disinfect some of the counters, things like that. So those are the expectations for downtime. Um, and wash your hands, wear gloves. So there's a hand washing sink at each doghouse. When you come into EMC Doghouse, it's immediately on the right. If you come into the Kerrigan Doghouse, it's to the left of the three basin sink. So first thing you do when you show up to work is wash your hands and soap and water. And anytime you touch something that may be dirty, like money, before you handle any food, you should be washing them again. And then gloves. Both the dog houses have plenty of gloves you can put on. Nobody should be touching any hot food or anything that's not in a wrapper. A hot dog bun, pizza, hot dogs, anything that you handle with your hands. Your hands should be gloved. So never touch something that someone's going to eat with your bare hands. All right. So start to clean up towards the end of the last shift. So as the day is winding down, whether it's a weeknight or a Saturday, you can start to put things away, start to clean up. Everybody that the person that comes in behind you is a volunteer, right? They're not there getting paid. They're volunteering their time to close up. So part of your job is to make that closing as easy as they possibly can for that person. We don't want to leave a mess for someone who's volunteering their time to come in and close everything down. Certainly, if the board member who's closing tells you can go, that's fine. You can do that. But as the shift is winding down, try to clean up as much as you possibly can be beforehand. Check twice before you open a new box of anything. So especially later in the season, as we get towards the end of Sizzler, anything that's not open, we can usually return. So if you have a box of candy and you don't see that there's one open, just do a sanity check. Do a quick once around the doghouse to make sure there isn't already another open box hidden somewhere before you open a new one. We've it's been better over the past few years, but years past we've gotten to the end of the season when we've had like 10 open boxes of Oreos that we can't return. So that's a lot of money. That goes to waste if we can't return them. So just do a double check before you open anything new. Big one, and again, especially as we get into the summer and summer on the weekends, is restock the drink fridge. Make a mental note of which drinks you put in that may still be warm versus the cold ones. We don't want to serve warm drinks, but keep that drink fridge stocked. Especially, it was one of the things you can do during downtime or towards the end of their shift. Is there's always seems to be room in those drink fridges for more drinks. So keep them as full as you can. If you notice that we're running low on any items, whether it's food, supplies, utensils, paper plates, anything, shoot Katie or Shiji an email. Let them know that we're almost out of something, and that's even more helpful if we're almost out of something and not hey, we're out of this, because likely that we're not going to be able to drop what we're doing and go get and replenish it. It may take a day or two. So if something's running low, let us know and we'll get it stocked up as soon as we can. All right. This is an important one because I feel like it was getting abused a little bit last year. Is anyone who is not on the workers list is not allowed in the doghouse. They haven't gone through this training. It's a requirement from the Board of Health that we have this training and that it's attended or looked at by anybody who's going to be working in the doghouse. And again, it's not there. You're not there to socialize and have time with your your friends who aren't doghouse workers, that's not what we're here to do. We're here to provide a service for the doghouse. So if your friends are hanging around and they ask to come in, that's a solid no. So we did have an issue the past couple of years where we've had to suspend a doghouse worker for not following this rule. So we will be very firm on making sure that your friends who aren't doghouse workers stay out. Um, you must pay for any food or drink that you eat. So, any candy, prepackaged food, drinks, um, those are all prepackaged items. So if you take one, that's fine, but you should be paying for that. You can put it money in the cash drawer. I think the exception to that is if there's food at the end of the shift, or if you're going to throw something away anyway, you guys are welcome to hot food. Pizza, chicken nuggets, pretzels, things like that. But if you're going to take an ice cream or a M&Ms or a Powerade, you should be paying for that. No tip jar. So this one, you guys were really great about this last year. I don't think we had any issues. I just want to reiterate, we don't allow a tip jar at either dog houses. You guys are making $15 an hour. We don't take taxes out. Any other place in town that you work, that same rate, you're really only going to take home $10 an hour after taxes are taken out. So we want to make sure that the tip jar stays down. It's just not something we want to see. So again, the same deal. If we do see it, we'll give you a reminder. But we ask that you be mindful of that. And then another big one: so don't serve old food. Kind of makes sense when you say it, but it seems to happen every now and then. If you start your shift and there's a piece of pizza in the oven and it's there for an hour, it might not be hot. It might have gotten a little hard. So, try to be aware of when food or how long it's been in the warming oven. And if it's been in there a while, get rid of it, throw it away, eat it yourself. And then you can cook some new ones, especially for the pizza. The pizza is very, very expensive. I don't know if people even realize that, but we end up throwing a lot of pizza away at the end of most every shift, and it's very, very easy to cook. So in 5 minutes it's done. So if you never really need to have 6, 7 pieces of pizza ready to go. You can have 2 or 3 pieces in the oven and then cook them a few at a time. It only takes 5 minutes to cook the pizza. The nuggets, the pretzels, they take a little bit longer, but those seem to stay in the oven and stay warm a little bit better than the pizza. So just be aware, and if something's been in there a while, don't serve it to anybody, and cook a fresh one. All right. As far as communication goes, Katie's going to be taking the lead again for scheduling. Shiji is helping first time this year, and then myself. So these slides will go out, or this deck will go out. You'll have my number. Katie usually writes her number on the board in each doghouse. Again, if you have any trouble, any problems running low any um, any supplies, just let us know and we'll get it restocked. Our website is hopkintonlittleleague.org. That's a good place to check, along with our Facebook page for rainouts. If we do have a cancellation or a rainout, we would just ask that you check before you arrive or leave for your shift. If the weather is suspect and you have a question, that's the first place you can check and get an answer if games have been canceled or postponed. If games are canceled before your shift starts and you still show up anyway, you're not going to get paid for it. So it's in your benefit to check. And then if you do show up and a game gets rained out while you're working, we'll pay you for the time that you're there up to the next hour. So, if you're there for a half hour and the game gets rained out, we'll pay you for that full hour. All the way, whether it's an hour and a half, hour 45, we'll pay you to the next even hour. I thought I deleted the Twitter handle. We don't do that anymore. But and then we do have a YouTube channel. That's where this training will be posted. Maybe in a day or two if you guys want to go back and look at it. All right. The menu. So each doghouse has a it's called a survival guide. Katie will be sending that out, and it gives instructions on how to prepare specific foods, anything that needs to be cooked or handled, whether it's the pizza, the pretzels, microwave popcorn, hot dogs, the coffee machine, things like that. So if you have time, I certainly recommend you take a look through that. Um, before you have your first shift of the season if you're a new worker. Umpires. So umpires get a free drink before games, and then a free meal if they're working consecutive games. If say they have a 3 o'clock game on a Saturday, and then they do the 5:30 game right after that, they can get a free meal in between the two games, and a free meal is a hot food item and chips, so they don't get any and no candy. Umpires they try to take advantage of the new workers sometimes, so don't listen to them if they tell you they get candy. So, but just something to remember. It doesn't happen a ton during the spring season, but it certainly happens a lot during Sizzler, where we have many back-to-back games throughout the day. All right, food safety. There's a couple things I want to go through. I have three separate items. I'm not going to go through them all in detail, but I have a food safety best practice, allergen awareness, and a foodborne illness pamphlet. So the allergen awareness, this will be posted in the doghouse, both doghouses on the pin board. So this is just a tip on how to recognize and deal with any foods that are considered allergens. There's a nice little QR code down the bottom here where you can scan that with your phone and get some more information. There's some training on there. Highly recommend anybody that has time to do it. It's not required, but it's all good information. But this will get emailed out to you, so read it when you have a chance. We're not going to go through in detail. And the same thing with foodborne illnesses. So this goes through essentially steps you can take to prevent any foodborne illnesses, whether it's cleaning, keeping your hands clean, cross-contamination of foods, cooking to proper temperatures, and keeping things refrigerated. We don't have to worry a lot about this. Most of the food, or actually all of the food that we have is pre-cooked. So we're really just heating it up. But again, it's good information to read and understand, and you'll get that in your email from Katie. And then as far as food safety goes, so employee habits and practices. So while you're working with food, you're not allowed to smoke, eat, drink, chew tobacco, or chew gum near any food or equipment. If you do need a break or need something to eat, try to do that off to the side and not while you're working and serving food yourself. Same thing, drinking, stay hydrated, but remember to put the drink in a bottle with a cap, and keep the cap closed, and off to the side, away from any food preparation that you'll be doing. Preventing contamination of hands. So get in the habit of washing your hands regularly throughout your shift. Again, if you have gloves on, that's the only way you should be handling food. But in between handling food, even if you put the gloves on, wash your hands. The glove is not a replacement for washing your hands. You should be washing your hands and using using your gloves. If you have any cuts, open sores on your hands or wrists, you have to have a Band-Aid on them. If you have any concerns about that, and especially if you're working at EMC, have the other person you're working with on your shift do the food handling. But any open wounds or sores on your hands or wrists need to be covered. And then obviously keep your fingernails if you can clean and trimmed. All right, proper work attire. So clothes must be clean. Girls or guys with long hair needs to be pulled back, and either have a hat on or with a banded back with a hair tie. Any jewelry, especially a lot of rings or bracelets, try to remove those before you start do your shift, or leave them at home. All right. Bare hand contact with ready-to-eat food must be avoided at all times. So our ready-to-eat food is our hot dogs, our pretzels, pizza, chicken tenders. Basically any of our food that is not prepackaged. So use the single-use gloves or the deli tissues, serving utensils, dispensing equipment, all means you can eliminate bare hand contact for all the ready-to-eat food. And as I mentioned before, gloves are never a replacement for hand washing. You should be doing both. And then gloves can be only used for one task at a time. And again, that goes back to the cross contamination. So if you're handling a hot dog with a glove, you don't want to go handle a then next go touch a piece of pizza. Go get a new glove. Just think about it from the perspective of somebody who's a vegetarian, right? If you pick up a hot dog with your gloved hand, put it in a bun, serve it, and then with that same gloved hand go and grab a piece of pizza, you've now cross contaminated that pizza from with the hot dog. So just something to keep in mind. And then the way to avoid that is you can use utensils. So you have a utensil, tongs that you can use for the pizza, and then a separate set of tongs for the hot dogs. And again, same deal. You don't want to cross the utensils and use them for different types of food. All right, let's see. Change your gloves if they're damaged or soiled. That's common sense there. All right, so hand washing. The sinks all have hand soap, so get your hands wet. Rub your hands together with the soap. Get in between your fingers, 20 seconds. Get up to your wrists, and then rinse under the warm water and dry. We do have some hand sanitizers, but those shouldn't be used in place of hand washing. They should be used in addition to hand washing. So you must wash your hands when you first arrive at work, prior to handling food, utensils, any ready to eat, not non-ready to eat foods, and then before putting on gloves, wash your hands. And after handling or touching any raw foods, we don't really have any raw foods, but it's still good practice. After you if you use the restroom, wash your hands. If you touch your face with your bare hands, anything like that, if it's not a habit, and you catch yourself, you should be wash your hands. Any dirty dishes, if you handle dirty utensils after you take a break, any other activities that may contaminate your hands, like sweeping the floor, taking out the trash, especially handling any money, wash your hands. All right. So cleaning. So wash, rinse, sanitize any food, contact surface, including dishes, utensils, cutting boards, prep tables, sinks, food processing equipment, containers, anything that comes into contact with food. So the key word there is sanitize. So we have cleaners that have bleach in them. So if you spray the countertops, we want to make sure you're using the sanitizing cleaners for cleaning surfaces, especially the countertops. And again, when you have downtime, just periodically wipe down the counters as best you can. Even things that are common touch items, so like handles, drawer handles, faucets, switches, the microwave door, refrigerator door, those should all be wiped down with sanitizing cleaner. Let's see, refrigerated and freezer. So the refrigerator temperature should be between 38 and 39 degrees. Every single refrigerator has a thermometer in it. And just throughout your shift, if that's something you notice that it's either too cold or too warm, let myself, Katie or Shichi know. There might be something wrong with the refrigerator. Don't try to screw around with the dial to get it colder or warmer. Just let us know. And freezer should be at 0. Each fridge or freezer has a thermometer in it. Usually they're very easy to read, and there's a color coded item on the area on the dial that says safe zone, and that's where. But if you do notice that the fridge or freezers are off, let us know. And then ready to eat, the foods should be either in the freezer, refrigerator, or being cooked in the oven. And don't let them sit out on the counter for any amount of time. All right. So illness policy. If you have a fever or a sore throat with fever, stay home. Don't come to work. Let Katie know that you're sick and you're not going to be able to do your shift. If you have an infected cut or an open sore, perform only non-food related tasks. So if you're at Carrigan by yourself, obviously you can't do that. But if you're at EMC, you can be the person at the counter that does the money. If you're having stomach issues, vomiting, diarrhea, you may not work until your symptoms are free for 24 hours. And then, if you have anything really bad, we don't, COVID, norovirus, anything that you've been really really sick, you need to get a doctor's note that you're healthy enough to come back to work. All right, so that is that. And scheduling. Katie, are you on? She may not be on. So I know she's done some different ways of scheduling over the past few seasons, um, but she'll generally send out a request for shifts, and you should be respond to her as soon as you can if you can work or not, and then don't assume just because you respond that you've gotten the shift. There may be multiple people that all respond for the same shift, so make sure you get a confirmation back from Katie that you have been assigned the work shifts. And then if you cannot make a shift after you are assigned, try and find a replacement and a worker to take your shift and let Katie know the change. If you can't, Katie may be able to find somebody for you. Game cancellation, I actually already touched on that earlier, but one more time. Majority of the game cancellations will be posted on the website. Facebook, we don't really use Twitter anymore. Just again, make a habit of checking prior to leaving home for your shift. If the game's canceled prior to the start of your shift, you arrive for your shift anyway, you will not be paid. If a game is canceled after the start of your shift, you'll be paid for the time worked, a minimum 1 hour. Rescheduled games will be reposted, and workers are assigned on a first come, first served basis. So that's an important one. If your game is canceled, you don't automatically get the makeup game as a work shift. It goes back into the queue, and Katie will assign someone to that. All right, paychecks. So Katie sends your hours to the league treasurer every week. New this year, and we're hoping that everybody uses it. Anybody that can use it uses Venmo. You'll definitely get paid sooner than if you don't have Venmo. If you don't have Venmo, that's fine. You'll get the check mailed to you just like we have in the past. The league treasurer will send out checks in the mail bi-monthly, but he's committed to use Venmo and getting payment out sooner than that. So if you have a Venmo account and you haven't given that to Katie, I think she added it as part of your application this year. You can email her, let her know what your Venmo handle is, and she'll get that added and sent over to our league treasurer. And then when you do get paid, just do a sanity check. Again, we're all volunteers ourselves. We do make mistakes. If we made a mistake on your paycheck and you got shorted some hours, let Katie know. And especially if you think you know what it is, let her know that, hey, these are the hours that I worked. Here's the shifts that I worked, and my paycheck was only a certain number of hours. This happens a lot when I know a lot of you guys trade shifts around throughout the season. If by chance you trade with a friend shifts, and Katie doesn't know, and then one of your shifts get canceled. Sometimes the payment might go to the wrong person. So if you're trading shifts, make sure you let Katie know as well, and that way we can get your paychecks right. All right. That was all that I had. Let me go through the chat real quick, see if we had any questions. Again, if you haven't put your name in the chat, please do so. That way we have record of you guys being here. Does not look like we have any questions in the chat. Before we sign off, does anybody have any questions before we go? All right, any problems come up through the season, let us know. I'm always at the field. My youngest son Isaac, he plays for the farm league Dodgers, so I'll be at the field a lot this year. If you see me, say hi. But if you have any issues, I'm always willing to poke my head in the doghouse and help you out. Same with any board member, any coaches. please don't hesitate to ask for help if you think you need it. But anyway, you guys have a great rest of your weekend. Appreciate you guys showing up for the training. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.